Good morning. Good morning. It's Friday. Finally. Happy Friday, TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. The weekend is almost here, y'all. Some of you all are probably not even looking forward to the weekend because the markets are about to close, but we all need a little bit of break from live price action. Good morning. It is a good morning. Let's do it. Hopefully everybody's feeling well. Oops, sorry, that was probably loud. Hopefully everybody's feeling well this morning or evening, afternoon, wherever you at. We're going to have a little tape reading today. Let's see. So looking at the economic calendar, we had high impact news at 8:30. That's behind us now. And we have high impact news at 10 o'clock, consumer sentiment. And they also added Trump speaking, no specific time on that. That wasn't on the calendar yesterday, so that's interesting. But Trump speaking later today, and it's listing it as high impact instead of medium impact, like it did Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday, or Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. So 10 o'clock has my focus. I'll really just be chilling until then, analysis wise. And for next week, what's it looking like? Next week, we have the Jackson Hole Symposium stuff going on next week, which is going to be interesting. No news Monday, so average week next week. All right, so NASDAQ daily chart. We mentioned this in Discord yesterday, but I have a softer neutral bias on NQ. Everything that I wanted to see pan out on the higher time frame on the daily and the weekly has came into fruition, so I'm not demanding NASDAQ to do much today. You can see we're already having an inside trading day. We're pretty much trading near previous day's range and its equilibrium. So if you take previous day's high, previous day's low, get your midpoint, we're pretty much trading smack dab in the middle of yesterday. So I think we've all been on the same page as far as 24,000 has been the key level, has been my focus for this week. And once we tag that key level on Wednesday, I fell back to a neutral bias. So we have a fair value gap here, and we use this as a catalyst for our trade yesterday. And we have a down close candle that we traded into is there. The bodies are staying outside of the fair value gap, which is something I would like to see for higher prices, but I'm not requiring NASDAQ to make a higher high and press into new all-time highs. If NASDAQ did want to have a deeper retracement on the daily chart, I feel like now the stage is set to do so because we reached 24,000. We traded through it here yesterday, traded to it as well. So will this fair value gap support price into making a new higher high, new all-time high? I don't know. Will we eat through this down close candle and work towards the equal lows here? I don't know. So we're kind of just in like no man's land for me. And I have a soft, just kind of neutral bias. I want to see how we respect or violate these PD arrays in here. And then that'll give me insight going into next week. But with that being said, let's go ahead and label some of this so we can go ahead and be on the lower time frames before the opening bell gets here. Daily buy side imbalance, sell side inefficiency high. Gonna label that. It's obviously a key level. We have the low here as well. And midpoint comes in at 845.25. All right, so the high, the low, and the midpoint of that fair value gap. And let's go straight to a 15-minute chart. I'll go ahead and put on our current new day opening gap as well. Right there. Going to a 15-minute chart. Yes, you can draw your new day opening gaps on the daily. Let's drag this over. So even though I drew it on the daily chart, it's anchored to that closing price at 5 and that opening price at 6. So it's the same thing. That's your new day opening gap. All right, so draw that through. All the sell side in here is really clean. We have like a quadruple bottom. I have my eyes set on that. That's a little too smooth. And it's resting in the upper half of the daily fair value gap. So for those who, or the members who looked at the market review, we talked about price respecting the upper half of the fair value gap, the wicks doing the damage. So this sell side is fair game. Should we want to run that out? I just want to see if NASDAQ remains in the upper half of that daily inefficiency. So that's something I'll be observing. Let's go ahead and go to a 5-minute chart. Let's slap on some opening prices. $8.30. All right. And let's see, we're trading near the 8:30 open. Let's go to regular trading hours. So we're going to have a decent size opening range gap, nothing too crazy. Really interested in seeing if NASDAQ wants to clean all of this up. So we've got about 3 minutes to the open. Let's look at S&P, Dow. I'll be watching them at the open, see how they're looking. Dollar index. It's those equal highs from yesterday. I'm gonna sit tight here. So far, pre-market, as you can see, it's been not the cleanest. A lot of nasty back and forth, and this is something that I'm expecting. This is why we're not pressing buttons today. I've already done for the week as far as trading goes. There's nothing that I'm expecting to unfold on the daily chart. Whenever the daily's in a state of it's 50-50, or there's just no objectives that I think the daily chart wants to reach for, then trading intraday for me is a little bit more difficult because there's no narrative as far as higher time frame. Now you could find, narrative based on a 15-minute and use intraday liquidity and all that stuff, but when the daily chart is reaching for something and it's obvious, that's when it's easier to trade intraday, in my opinion. And because the daily chart isn't as clear for me right now because all of our targets were hit and whatnot, and we're having an inside trading day, we're in a inside of previous day's range still. It's a little iffy. And then again, we also have news at 10 o'clock, high impact news, about 30 minutes from now, so that's something to be mindful of. Alright, so we have about 45 seconds to the open. I'm going to head to regular trading hours, and the first few minutes after the open, I just like watching regular trading hours. I like to see what liquidity do we engage on regular trading hours, how do we utilize our opening range gap, what PD arrays do we use on regular trading hours. So something I like to observe coming out of the open. All this is nasty. All of this back and forth in here is high resistance, just range bound, sideways price action. All right, so we've gapped higher, obviously. And remember that sell side on electronic trading hours that rests in the upper half of that daily fair value gap. That's kind of my focus. You don't really see it here on regular trading hours, but all of this here, that's just so smooth. I'll be surprised if they leave that in place. And then should we run out the sell stops? My thought process is, do we stay in the upper half of the fair value gap? And if we do trade to a lower half, is it quick? And do we have any interest in getting back to the upper half? Because if we're bullish, we already know we want to stay in the upper half of inefficiencies. So I'm watching to see how we respond to taking out that sell side. So as long as we stay above midpoint of that daily fair value gap, I'm sticking with a very soft bullish bias. But if we start eating through midpoint and showing a willingness to trade towards this low, then that shifts me to a more heavy neutral bearish bias. Let's take a look at ES. The Dow indices are all looking a little heavy out of the open. And I don't want to include too much on my chart, but let's go ahead and go to a 1 minute. Come on, snap on there. Oh my goodness. Looking at these relative equal highs as a draw, and then buy side up here. London highs, something that I'm looking at. As long as we stay above, what is that? We'll just say 23,850, which is midpoint of that daily fair value gap. If we can stay above that, then my interest would be higher. And then I'll be shifting my focus to the relative equal highs here. And then should we expand through that, then buy side up here would be something I'm looking for. Now on a day like today, let's say I was looking to press the button and take a trade or whatnot. What would be my thought process as far as, am I about to get into a trade? What would I look for? In this instance, I wouldn't take anything short, and this is just me and my style of trading. Especially for people who've watched the channel for a while. Whenever we're beneath both the midnight and 8:30 open, I always treat that as we're in a deep discounted market. So if we're trading in this region here, 9 times out of 10, I prefer not to short. Now that doesn't mean we can't have a trending day where it's just something like this here. That's not my trade. That's not something that I'm looking to engage in. I like buying and accumulating long positions in a discounted market, especially when we have sell stops all throughout here. We're in the upper half of a higher time frame PD array. So that's what I prefer. In the times where we're just really trending and it's just one directional, I'll either engage short with perhaps lower risk, or I just won't do anything and I'll just stay sidelined. And this is where it gets more tricky on the daily chart, because on the daily, let's say we didn't reach 24,000, or let's say our objective that we were looking for is some way up here, and it's not a Friday, because Friday can bring retracement and whatnot. If I'm looking for an objective up here on the daily chart, then I'm absolutely expecting this fair value gap in the upper half of it to take us up into that objective. But because we've already hit our objective, which was 24,000 in this range here, now this fair value gap has a little bit less weight, less significance, because I'm seeing it as possibly being exhausted. It doesn't have to take us higher. We've already finished our objectives on the upside. So now when we're intraday, and this is when losses are more likely to occur, when we're trading intraday, let's take this off for a second, and we're inside this fair value gap, you're asking yourself, well, is it going to take us higher? And I don't know. Is it going to take us lower, or we're going to violate this inefficiency and take out previous day's low, or trade to the low of the inefficiency? I don't know. But all that has to do with targets already being hit on the daily. But if we have something like this, I'll be more confident long intraday. So that's when it gets a little muddy. So when I say like I want narrative on the higher time frame, I'm looking for something that the daily chart's reaching for. That's part of the reason. It's a lot easier to trust PD arrays when the daily chart's reaching for something. So looking for a possible sign of bullishness, all I'm looking at is, do we maintain this low and keep that in place? And then this long wick here, can we get a closure past consequent encroachment? If we do those two things, then I possibly like the idea of that being an indication of bullishness. And then I like how we've stayed above the upper half of that daily fair value gap. So if that remains the case, then I favor a rally into buy side near that midnight opening price. This long wick here is what I'm looking at. So do we get a closure above it? No. If anything, it's respecting it as a premium array. So would I trust going long in anything just yet? No. But I'm still watching to see if these lows are intact, things of that sort. What's your thought about Tuesday's price action overall? Tuesday? What was Tuesday? Tuesday, I think that's the day I had one loss, one win. I mean, price action this week I think has been decent. I think I've seen worse weeks. I wouldn't say it's my biggest week P&L wise. It was a nice week. I finished up like 4,000, but a lot of my trades were like, I would have a partial book and then the last contract stopped in profit, or, you know, there's been a lot of deeper retracements this week that were knocking me out. But difficulty wise, I mean, I think it's okay. It wasn't anything too crazy. So while NASDAQ just kind of hangs around, let's take a look at ES. Take a look at Dow, because what I like to look for is if all the indices, if ES and Dow are looking bearish and heavy, making lower lows, then I would expect NASDAQ to do the same. But a lot of times what you'll see is Dow usually gets started first. Dow will start pushing higher, showing signs of momentum, and then S&P will kind of just slowly start tugging along, and then I would eventually expect NASDAQ to do the same. So I like keeping an eye on Dow and ES to see what are they doing. Are they looking bearish? Are they slowing down? Are they looking very bullish? Because if that's the case, then I would expect any short-term displacement lower in NASDAQ, I'll treat that as kind of suspect. So I'm keeping an eye on the other indices on my separate monitor. especially the Dow, because if you look at all the major price moves in the morning session, chances are the Dow is already going. Microphone should be fine. It's a YouTube thing, not a microphone thing. All right, so this is good. So now there's too many lines on here. Clear this off for a second. So now we're in the right at midpoint of that daily fair value gap. So I'm watching to see if we don't have any respect of that, and if it's looking bearish still, then that kind of negates my bullish bias. But if NASDAQ spends little time in the lower half of that and shows interest and want to go higher, then buy side will still be my focus. So I'm watching to see, do we respect this? Do we blast through it? Because then if that's the case, previous day's low would be considered. And then on the daily, if you take yesterday's range, I'm looking at the wick as well, and its midpoint, which looks like it pretty much lines up with midpoint of the daily inefficiency. How did you backtest when you were learning? Just saving screenshots of old price runs in like a Google Drive folder, or like I just use replay mode in TradingView. I don't think you need Forex replay and all that fancy stuff. I think TradingView's replay mode is more than enough to get all your backtesting needs. So let's look at, see, this is what I like seeing in Dow. The Dow is showing a little bit of momentum to the upside. Now we could have a day where it's decoupled, meaning you have a higher Dow, maybe a consolidating S&P, and then a lower NASDAQ. That could very much happen, especially given the state that we're in on the daily chart. But if Dow really starts getting on the giddy up and looking bullish, you can see NASDAQ's doing the complete opposite. And if S&P starts showing some strength to the upside, then I would expect NASDAQ to follow suit. But as of right now, it's a little mixed. Let's put that sell side back on. If I was pressing buttons today, I wouldn't care for shorting anything in here. Regardless if it sells off 1,000 points, that's not the trade, that's not the setup that I'm looking for. Please get Max. Max has been a troll in the live streams for a while. I just keep him in here. It's good to get the chat riled up. So nothing in here gets me too interested in higher prices just yet. I do like how we spent little time in the lower half of that daily fair value gap. On a 5-minute chart, we've wicked down into it. But what would give me, a lot of people ask, what would you need to see to feel comfortable going long? Or what would you need to see to feel comfortable that the low is in place, whatever. That same wick, that long wick, remember when I said I want to see a closure above that, above his midpoint? To me, that'd be a sign of strength. That's what I would like to see. So midpoint of this longest wick here, used as a premium array. If we can eat through that on a closing basis, then that will get me more interested in possibly seeing higher prices. And then you have a potential breaker with this up close candle. But until then, until I see that, I'll let NASDAQ continue to make lower lows. Let's take a look at Dow. S&P and NASDAQ moving in tandem. And you have Dow. That's working higher for now. And remember, we have high impact news at 10, consumer sentiment, so that's about 15 minutes. I'll be real interested to see how we use that news driver. And before that news driver gets here, I'm going to outline a few more levels on our daily chart. I really don't want to have too much on my chart, but we'll just leave it at that. Outlining mean threshold, midpoint of this down close candle. So I just added the opening price of this down close candle. Should we want to trade into that? And then midpoint of this entire down close candle, because if we lose that on a daily basis, then I think a deeper retracement on the daily chart is more likely going into next week. Do you consider monthly options? No. I have like no knowledge of options at all, if I'm being honest. Previous day's low is just outside of the low, that daily fair value gap at around, what is that, 793. Clear off the sell side. Try to clear off my charts before that news driver gets here. So I just want that daily fair value gap and then the opening price of that order block. That's really the only levels that I care about on a higher time frame. Read the comments where I'm reading the comments, but most of the questions are questions I already answered before. But I'm reading them. I got the chat next to me. I see all of them. I see it. More focused on price right now. I want to see where we're at when this 10 o'clock news driver gets here. And this is a good example because we have 10 minutes till news. But this, and a lot of times when I say like I'm done for the week, or especially we have a procedure in the Discord where most times when we're outlining a target, again, let's say 24,000, because that was our draw for this week, The general rule of thumb is when a daily target like that is reached, and we just taken out previous day's low, when a daily target like that is reached, usually the next morning session, I just want to have a tape reading stream, no button pressing, because whenever we tag a key daily level like that, the following morning session, it's more 50-50 for me. So when am I more susceptible to take losses in a situation like this here, even though we didn't get what we want to see for higher prices? But let's say we did or whatnot, because we've already reached levels on the daily chart, I'm more likely to take a loss here. Because am I anticipating this fair value gap to fail? Some people might, but 9 times out of 10, I want to see this be used as a discounted rate, take us higher, whatever. If we already have objectives that we're still reaching for on the daily. But as soon as that daily target gets hit, example 24,000, now you're in a situation where, okay, we open at 9:30 trading into the upper half of that fair value gap. We have a lot of sell side underneath these lows. Are we going to find support here? I don't know. Why do we need to? The daily chart has nothing to reach for. We've already met all of our objectives on the upside. So this is when it gets harder for me to read and harder for me to trust it. I need 2 more pairs to trade along NQ. What's wrong with just trading NQ? There's nothing wrong with just trading NQ. Especially if you're trading like day trading, 1 minute chart, all you really need is just one instrument. You can find a setup every day if you want. Take a look at S&P heavy, the Dow making a lower low. Quick look at dollar index before our news driver. I think I saw somebody said Trump speaking later, like at 4. Because on Forex Factory it says like tentative, but somebody said he's speaking like closer to market close. $4. 8 minutes till news. August has done me so bad. July was best trade month. Yeah, my August last year was mid. My August this year is going pretty good. I'm almost up 10K already. I think I'm up like 7,000, 7,500, something like that. So my August is a lot better, and I think a big part of that is because I've lowered my trade frequency a little bit. Like I was done on my personal account on Tuesday. My last trade with my real money account was Tuesday morning. I haven't touched it since. So I've just been more picky with my setups, lowering that trade frequency, avoiding all the crappy days. Once I get my piece, once I meet my weekly objective, I'm content with that. And I'll just tape read or paper trade the rest of the week so I can still gain that experience. How many times a month do you withdraw? I withdraw every week. Every week I take out a withdrawal. But I don't take out everything. Like last week, if I made $3,000, I'll probably take out 2 so I can grow my account by $1,000 by leaving that in there. And then this week, I made $4,000, so I'll take out like $3,000, $3,500. I'll leave a little bit in there. So over the course of a month, over the course of a couple months, my account's growing by thousands of dollars, and I'm still able to pay myself. Five minutes till news. Let's go back on the daily chart one last second so we can stay on the lower time frame before news gets here. Because I want to outline this real quick. Let's clear these off for a second. This down close candle, this is going to give me a lot of insight. But if we lose this down close candle, because ideally I'm seeing this as a breakaway gap. We talked about the breakaway gap here and this wick and this midpoint and all that good stuff, taking us into 24,000. If we lose or if we have a close past mean threshold on a daily basis, then I'm possibly shifting to a short-term bearish bias, expecting a deeper retracement, probably into this inefficiency, into this old consolidation here. So today's trading, I think, is really setting the stage for what we could possibly see next week. If we find support in the upper half of this down close candle, which is also overlapping with the breaker, this up close candle here, if we find support in that, then I think next week we can still explore some more all-time highs, make higher highs, all that good stuff. But if we don't have any respect to this and we really dig inside of it, then I think next week we can see a more of a retracement, and this will have my focus. So this is going to tell me a lot about what we can possibly see going into Monday. Let's put that back on. We'll go on a 5-minute chart before our news driver gets here. Three minutes till news. We'll take another glance at ES, Dow, and see where we're at. What is this? Yesterday's 835 low. Save a large divergence there. S&P has not taken out that morning low at 830, while NASDAQ has. So that's interesting. And then Dow, 830, where's that at? It's about this region. Dow's nowhere near that. So I'm curious to see how we respond here. Now, if I was pressing buttons and I wasn't in a trade yet, am I interested in opening a trade 2 minutes before 10 o'clock news? No. Some people ask, why do you engage before 10 o'clock? Why'd you take that trade? We have high impact news at 10 o'clock. If it's at least 15 minutes before 10, I'm fine with trading before high impact news because I expect to be risk off, maybe a partial booked by then. By the time 10 o'clock's here, my stop loss is probably at break even. But once we start reaching like 5 minutes before news, that's when I'd rather just wait because it's at that point, it's a little bit more risky. But I'm fine holding a trade through news. I'm fine entering before news as long as like 15 minutes before. I'll just expect the news driver to bring in extra volatility in the direction of my trade. And again, this is a day where I wouldn't be interested in anything going lower, any continuation lower. To me, is just setting up the stage for a deeper retracement next week. But as far as intraday, would I care for shorting anything? No. I would let that go on without me because that's not what I'm looking for. Gonna stay on a 5-minute chart in case there's a lot of volatility. Want to be a little bit more zoomed out, and then we'll head back into the 1-minute chart a little bit after news. Right, so here's our news driver. Once this volatility and whatnot has cooled down a little bit, then we'll go back to a 1 minute chart. But I kind of want to get the big picture. Let's take a look at Dow, S&P. Oh, trading views freezing. Let's take a look at dollar. So dollar is looking pretty heavy, and ideally in a low resistance market, when dollar is looking bearish, we've highlighted that sell side. When dollar is looking heavy, ideally you would want to see some sign of strength in the indices. And if you don't get that, if they're moving together, then that's problematic. But I like the bodies here. And we'll drop down to a 1 minute chart in just a little bit. I want to see if NASDAQ can get back above that midpoint of the daily fair value gap. You're so clean, man. I probably would have taken like 5 trades. Nah, you definitely only need like 1 trade a day. Really, I only take on average like 3 to 4 trades a week. I really don't need anything more than that. So what I'm watching to see is, do we leave a imbalance here with this candle closure in about 10 seconds or so? And if we do we leave that fair value gap open and treat that as a breakaway gap? If we get those 2 things and we start working back in the upper half of the daily fair value gap, then I like the buy side up here. So we have a fair value gap. Does that stay open, or at least the lower half? That gives me insight. And then for those in the Discord, we've been talking about implied dealing ranges a lot, but let's say midnight opening price is your draw, and I drew that wrong. Actually, I'm not going to do that because some people are going to assume I'm giving signals or telling them to buy. I'm watching this SIBI and see if we use that as an inversion level. But the actual level I'm watching from the low of the order block to here is what I'm watching. All of this upside delivery with the up close candle is offering buy side. Then the down close candle here is offering sell side. So I'm not seeing this as your standard fair value gap. This portion here, I'm treating it as a balanced price range. So the inversion fair value gap that I'm looking at is from that candle's low to this candlestick's high, because once we break that low, then it's only sell side delivery. So that's the inversion fair value gap that I'm looking at. Now, if I was executing and trading, this is what I would be interested in. All of this short in here, away from the midnight 8:30 open. You could profit off of that, absolutely. But for my personal style, And a lot of times what you see me do on Twitter and YouTube, for those who aren't in the server, these are the moves that I typically like to participate in. Whereas buying a discount, we're in levels on the daily chart, fair value gaps, down close candles on the daily. I want to take shots in the direction of where the daily chart's likely to head towards. So just getting some premium and discount levels. Discord, this is from market review the past few days, but I'm looking at the lowest low, which 770. It looks like these lows are the same, but I'm looking at the low towards, let's just say, equal highs. So much lines on my chart, it's kind of stressing me out. I'm gonna delete some of this. But I'm watching to see if NASDAQ from the equal highs here up to or down to the low, I'm getting midpoint. And I want to see, do we trade and respect any discount PD raise? And then the upper quadrant of that, can we leave that with any meaningful displacement? But if I was long, and if I'm aiming for buy side relative equal highs, or if you're trading Tremaine's model causes you to look for the midnight open as a profit objective. If that's the case, then you would attach your fib to the midnight open, whatever draw liquidity you feel like the market can reach for, and your best long opportunities are at equilibrium or lower. Really good pricing is in the lower quadrant, but you may not always get that. It's no big deal. And this is not telling you to buy. This is an example, because this is what I do on live streams. This is what we've been doing for the past, really all week. My trades have been based on this logic. But I want to get long anywhere at equilibrium or lower. Once we start leaving that, I'm not interested in pyramiding anymore. I'm not interested in opening any new positions, none of that stuff. So do I want to buy here? Even though we're beneath the 8:30 midnight open, should we trade here? As far as the implied dealing range, we're already too much in a premium. We're near the upper quadrant of that price run. Your focus should be trailing your stop, taking partials, that sort of thing. So let's take that off, put all our levels back on here. So we're back inside of the upper half of that daily fair value gap. And I want to see if NASDAQ can stay in that, because again, if we're bullish, you want to see us stay in the upper half of inefficiencies. So now we're in that region. We're right at midpoint of that daily inefficiency. So I want to see if we have no interest in trading back to the low of the fair value gap on the daily chart, let alone any part of the lower half. This is what I have on my monitor. I'm watching the 15-minute imbalance. Can we eat through that? And then on the daily chart, I have all my key levels. So as we're trading down, I'm not just watching a 1-minute chart. I'm watching the daily chart trade into all of those PD arrays. So I kind of get a better feel. It's real easy to get zoomed in on a 1-minute chart. So I like to have different time frames showing. This is a good stream. ES on life support. We'll take a look at S&P, see what's got going on. And there's a little bit of consolidation, it's just hanging around. The Dow. Let's see what the Dow's reaching for. Inside this imbalance for YM. And remember, dollar index. We looked at how bearish dollar was looking. So dollar's clearly very heavy. I'm thinking the sell side for DXY could be a draw. But ideally, with dollar looking this heavy to the downside, you would want to see lower prices in the indices. Or excuse me, I said that way wrong. With dollar looking this heavy, you would want to see higher prices in the indices. So NASDAQ's really kind of the only one that's really following suit with what I would want to see. Caught long for a 2-to-1. That's what's up. I'm gonna slap on that implied range because this is really how I gauge my premium and discount levels. So from that low to relative equal highs, I think if NASDAQ wants to go higher, these equal highs could possibly be a draw. Every time we tag that midpoint, I'm seeing that as we're offering discount. We talked about this inefficiency. We said if we form a fair value gap when this candle closes, if we form a fair value gap here, I would watch to see if that stays open. It stays open, rallies, takes out a short-term high. That can be a bread and butter scalp. From inversion fair value gap, you don't need it to close, come back, touch it to be a long. As soon as we form a fair value gap, think about the logic. If we're already expecting this to stay open, once this candle closes, can't you just buy it here? That's what I did yesterday. Is that chasing price? No, because you're buying beneath equilibrium. And you could just buy here inside of the inversion fair value gap, partial there, and then boom, you could be done for the day, done for the week, wherever you want to do. And it's not chasing price, you're not gambling, because you're already expecting this to not be traded to. So where's the next logical level to get in inside of this inversion fair value gap here? Do you live every day? Yes, I live stream every day in Discord. Obviously, this isn't a live trading stream because I'm public on YouTube, but in Discord, I press buttons and take trades and do all that good stuff. We had a great week. I had a great week. I don't promote signal copying or trade copying. So yes, you'll see all my executions and stuff, but if you just want to trade copy, please don't join. I do keep the live streams up for a week. So if you ever feel pressure to copy my trades, you can just watch the recording, come back at a later time, and all that good stuff. But I had a good week, 3-1 this week. My first loss came Tuesday, and yeah, Tuesday, that first loss on my live account was my only red day, or not my red day, my only red trade this week. This is what I was looking for as far as higher prices. And again, there's nothing wrong with participating short in this. Eventually, maybe next year, I'll get comfortable to the point where I can capture this trade going short, close it, and then capture the upside move, which is what I really prefer, doing something like that. But for now, in my current development, I'm more comfortable letting price trade down to a discount because I can see all the levels on the daily chart, the order block, midpoint of the wick. On the 5-minute chart, we see that being respected very nicely. So I can see us trading down into all those key levels. I may not trust trading it, towards that direction. I'll let that go on without me. But once we start getting this here and going higher, this is what I engage in. And I'm real confident in walking this part of the price action to my targets. Make sure to leave a like on the live stream if you learned something. If you're finding this helpful, if maybe you felt like you got 1% better today, share the live, like the live. If you're not subscribed already, make sure to subscribe. I have subscribers only turned on in the chat, so I know everybody who's sending a message right now is subscribed to the YouTube channel. Shout out to y'all. Y'all some real ones. Even those who aren't chatting, but you're still subscribed, just tuning in the shadows. I appreciate you. Trying to make as many profitable traders as I can. Trying to help somebody. Do you think it still makes sense to go long at the inversion? I won't ever tell you to go long or to do anything. We're just walking down price. We're just walking it down. My sole focus is, for one, I want to see if we could trade back to the high of that daily fair value gap, the daily BISI high. That's what I'm looking for. And I saw somebody say, why am I using this? I explained it a few minutes ago, but this up close candle is offering buy side delivery. That's a bearish order block. We have sell side delivery offered here. So with the buy side delivery and the sell side delivery, this is a balanced price range. So I'm not seeing that as your actual fair value gap. Once we break this candlestick's low, because let's get real technical in here. This candlestick opens, trades down. When it's trading down, it's offering sell side delivery. And then when it forms that low and comes off of it, it's offering buy side. From the low of the wick, when it's trading higher, 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 it's offering buy side. Buy side all throughout here. This candle opens, we're offering sell side, sell side, sell side. So it's not until we take out this candlestick's low, that's when we're only offering sell side delivery. So I'm seeing this as your real fair value gap. And ICT has taught that in plenty of videos. Does Apex funding pay you outside payouts? No. If you're talking about affiliates, then yeah, but no, Apex doesn't give me anything other than affiliates and what I withdraw as payouts. I submitted a payout request Tuesday, was it? Wednesday? So hopefully that payout hits the bank account early next week. It's my 4th payout from them. I think we're totaling close to $15,000 in total. So, got your first payout. Congratulations. That's big time. maybe towards the end of the stream, if I can find the video where ICT talks about identifying the real fair value gap, we'll watch it together. It's like a quick 5 minutes, but it's really a game changer as far as how I actually look at inefficiencies and what's like this here. There's nothing wrong with that. Like it's, you know, there's just nothing wrong with that. But the real portion that I like to look at is here. But sometimes on stream, I'll just draw it like this because a lot of people get confused as to like, why are you drawing your fair value gap like this? And there'll be a whole bunch of questions. But that's all to do. ICT stopped posting. ICT says he's coming back September 15th, I believe. I think he said he has some like family stuff to, you know, that required his attention. So hopefully everything's okay with that. But I think he said he's coming back in September. So let's take a look at S&P. Oh, S&P's just really been nasty, huh? Dow still making lower lows, just charting lower, lower. So it's a little decoupled. You have Dow looking very heavy, like very heavy. And then you have S&P, which is kind of just like hanging around. It's been consolidating just sideways. And then you have the NASDAQ, which has gotten some movement higher. So that is a decoupled market. But I favor NASDAQ's price action solely because it's trading into the key levels we outlined on the daily, but it's also moving opposite of the dollar index. Dow is selling off with the dollar, which is a high resistance signature. That's not something that I would want to engage in. I would want to trade the market that's moving in an opposite direction of DXY. What are you looking for? I'm looking for possibly the high of that daily fair value gap as a draw. And then should we expand to that, then midnight open and possibly all that good stuff. But seeing the weakness in Dow and S&P is just kind of lackluster makes me a little bit questionable, but we've traded into the order block on the daily, and we've cleared out a lot of sell side, and we had that SMT divergence. In case some people weren't in the live stream, but NASDAQ has taken out this low. I'm also watching the down close candle here, and on the 5-minute chart, by the way. But lower low here on NQ, ES, higher low, and then Dow higher low. So there's a little divergence there. I just missed so many moves that had. What? I just missed so many moves that had. How did I discourage you from pressing the button? How does that make sense? I didn't tell you not to buy or sell. I'm just telling you what I'm looking for. When Tremaine cracks his knuckles or shuffles cards, he's in a trade. I always do that regardless. I have a bad habit of cracking my knuckles and my neck. Probably not the best trait. We're going to go ahead and draw the fair value gap like this because I'm sure people who just tuned in are gonna get a little confused. I have a lot of little stuff on my desk. I have poker chips. Poker chips, I actually prefer these than the playing cards, but they're too loud in the microphone. Or sometimes I like to play with them on the table, but it's too loud, so I only do that like when I'm back testing or doing anything that's not being recorded. The cards are a little more gentle on your guys' ears, so. What else I got? Little fidget cube. Fidget cube I play with. And then I have a Rubik's Cube that I don't know how to solve, so I don't touch it. It just sits here collecting dust. As smart as I like to think I am, this Rubik's Cube is my kryptonite. I watch a lot of TikToks on how to solve the things. It just doesn't happen for me, so. Nah, I'm about to take the stickers off the Rubik's Cube and just put them where I want them. That's what I'm about to do. So we're in a little bit of consolidation. Let's drop down to a seconds chart. 30-second, have a little fair value gap. See if we get a little bit more detail. So we've cleared out relative equal lows, staying in the upper half of that daily fair value gap. Little imbalance here. But little consolidation for the past 10:06, about 20 minutes or so. Probably stay on no later than, it's Friday. We'll try to go for 10:45. If price action starts moving and it looks good past 10:45, then we'll push for 11. But it's Friday. We're not trying to be on here all day. Jack, what are you talking about, my guy? Who pissed in your cereal this morning? Jack is on one today. It's a Friday, Jack. Come on, brother. You cannot be this sour on a Friday. Openly admitting that you're trolling is crazy work. I don't think that's something to be proud of. I'll give it till, like I said, 10:45. If we're still in kind of this little bit of a range, or if it looks like we're just not doing much, then we'll go ahead and call it a day. Let's see what S&P is doing. Yeah, still just hanging around. Dow getting a little bounce. It's inside that hourly fair value gap if I'm not mistaken. Down close candle. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it. Have a good weekend. I'm about to join you in a little bit. Oh, man. For everybody tuning out, hopefully you have a great, restful weekend. it takes too long, then we'll go ahead and log out of here. Are you playing any games? Nah, I'm not like a gamer like that. I mean, I play 2K, Call of Duty, the basic stuff. I'm not like a die-hard PC gamer or nothing like that. When are you doing the next giveaway? I don't even know. It'll probably be like some sort of milestone. I don't know, maybe at like 50K subs. It'll probably be a while. I don't want to flood my channel with giveaways, to be honest. Kind of just want to keep it focused on trading and whatnot. All right, let me read the chat because NASDAQ's kind of just stalling. When it does something interesting, then we'll talk about price. What are you doing in free time? Hanging out with the lady, working out, shooting some hoops. I'm studying some real estate. Actually, just bought a journal last night. Want to get into the real estate game, so I'm pretty much exactly how I studied ICT, handwritten notes, hundreds of pages, all that good stuff. I'm doing the same thing with real estate. Want to get that part of my life going. I really be chilling, bro. Like, my life is not that interesting as far as like day-to-day activities. I just be chilling, working, studying. Are your cars rented or owned? I own my cars. One of them is paid off. The vet, I have a note. I'll try to pay that off next year. I'm 23. My birthday is September 12th, so I got less than a month for that. Check out Bigger Pockets podcast. I'll take a look. I'll give it 10 more minutes. I'm really just waiting to see if we can get out of this little bitty, all this, whoa. We just traded into a 5-minute imbalance. But all of this is a little muddy. We have, just take this off. We have this here, but I'm really seeing this as a balanced price range. Now, what would change? Because I'm still looking for higher prices. I still like the idea of us possibly getting back to the high of that daily fair value gap. But what would I need to see in a chart that changes that for me? Well, for me, for bullishness, again, we talked about this imbalance and how you would want that to stay open. If we completely fill that in, or we have candles closing inside of it, that kind of thing, does that kill 100%? Just get rid of my bullish bias? No, but that may cause me to wait till lunch, even though we're almost in lunch. Or I would just shift back to a neutral bias. Please wait for 10:50 to 11:10. Ooh, that's 25 minutes from now. Let's look at S&P is really the nastiest out of the three. ES has just been nasty. Dow, we know Dow's been bearish. Let's check on the dollar, see what dollar index got going on. So dollar's clearly still heavy. Again, relative equal lows is my focus for that. But I wouldn't expect anything more on a Friday where our objectives on the daily charts already reached. It's already done everything. We've taken out previous day's low and got immediate retracement back inside of previous day's range. There's nothing I think we need to reach for on the daily chart as of right now. Now next week when we get our new week opening gap and we have some more sentiment and news and all that, then that'll change. But as far as this week, pretty much handle all our business. Why'd you decide to tape read today? We already had a good week. We had a good week, and it's August. I told people I'm not trying to press too much in August. But if the setup is really clean and I'm confident in the draw on liquidity or if I trust it, I'll take it. Like some days I'll tell the stream, you know, I'm really looking for one trade, I'm trying to be one and done. But if that first trade is a loss, if I see something in the chart that justifies a re-entry, I'm fine with getting back in. You know, I'm not scared to take multiple trades a day, but with it being August, I'm making more of a conscious effort to just get my bread. Only take setups I think are high probability, setups that are just like clear as day, obvious, you know, then there it is. Are we going to see the live stream for next week? The live stream for next week. I'm not sure what you're asking. Oh, I didn't realize we want a 5-minute chart. Let's go back. Oh, man. But what are y'all's plans for the weekends? Anybody doing anything interesting this weekend? Are you overall break even or profit for the year? Oh, I'm green for the year. Very green for the year. Last month being my best month. This month I'm on pace to top it. We green, baby. Last month I did 10K, and I think I'm at like 7K this month. And we still have 2 weeks left in August, give or take. Trying to make every month better than the last. Yeah, I'll give it till like 10:45. Nah, screw it. We'll stay on for that macro. Somebody asked to stay on till the 10:50, 11:10 macro. That kicks off in 10 minutes from now. We might as well just stay on. See you, Micah. Have a good one. All right. I know you know who TJR is. Yes, I know who TJR is. Are you funded? Yes. This price action is putting me to sleep. Thoughts on TJR? No comment. I don't know him like that. I don't keep up with him. I don't really keep up with traders like that. So. Are you on live stream on YouTube next week? No. All live streams next week are only going to be in Discord. This was a spontaneous last minute public stream because I was like, if I'm done for the week, why not just come on YouTube and, you know, cap it all off. So Oh, I gotta do some stretching. I've been sitting for too long. Oh. Oh man. Long stream, not the most exciting, um, not the most action packed. We got movement first 10 minutes out of the open, but especially if you're looking at something like, if you trade S&P or something like that, it's really been a snooze fest. My goodness. Dow has been more eager to move on the downside. How much you risk per trade? It depends. I've been working on pyramiding when I'm getting to my trades, so normally I would risk like close to 1% when I put a trade on, but now I've been risking like anywhere between 0.5% to 0.75%, and I would add contracts on later. So I kind of like going in with lighter risk when I open the trade, because if I'm just offside, like if I'm just dead wrong, and we, like, let's say I buy a fair value gap, I buy it, and that same candle I buy just rips through the fair value gap, I'm offside. Well, it's like, shoot, I just risked 1% of my equity and I lost in 3 seconds. So I like going in a little lighter, you know, 0.5% risk, let it give me some feedback, let it show me that I'm on side. Okay, cool. Now I'll go in with 2 more contracts here or here, and then I build my position up that way. So I used to only risk, or I used to put on my full risk when I open the trade, but now I just like adding on. Even if I get a higher entry, so your P&L won't be as much, but if you're wrong, that initial stop out is very light, and it's really easy to recoup that. Because when I'm on side, I could walk it through when I'm on side. Like I could pyramid here, I could add here, try my stop here. Like if it's giving me feedback that I'm on side, I could walk the thing down. So the focus for me is keeping losses small. Oh. I'm thinking we stay on to it's 15 minutes. We'll just stay on till 11, and then we'll for sure call it a day then, because it's a Friday. I don't want to be here too long. This inversion fair value gap is losing its what's the term? It's losing its significance. All the time we've been marking and spending inside of it. Obviously, you would expect, you would want to see immediate feedback out of that, but after spending 30 minutes inside of an inefficiency, I like the word ICT uses, it becomes a little bit more exhausted. What's your morning routine? Wake up, prayer, possibly bust out some push-ups. Um, Shower. Sometimes I go work out before I get to the charts. Sometimes I do it after. I'm not real strict on that. But that's really it. Make some tea. I've been getting into tea, so I like me some herbal hibiscus tea in the morning, cold brew. I prepare that the night before. Your face has become chubby. Been eating good. How's your any advice for unprofitable traders? You just gotta keep working. If you're unprofitable, that means it's just a matter of time before it clicks. Like, everybody's unprofitable at one point. The only difference is some people stick with it and get out of their own way, meaning if you're struggling with discipline or you're struggling with breaking your rules, eventually you're going to have to get out of that cycle. There's nothing I can say to do that for you. There's nothing ICT can say to get you out of that cycle. It's literally just, you got to sit down with yourself and be like, okay, like, I'm really hurting myself by breaking my rules, by doing this, by doing that, and I'm holding myself back. And eventually you just got to be like, I need to make a change, or else I'm not going to be getting out of my situation anytime soon. So that's what I did. I was like, all right, Tremaine, you're blowing accounts, you're losing money, you're doing the same thing, you're taking way too many trades a day. Like, at some point, you're going to have to lock in, or it's just, nothing's going to happen for you. And you combine that with studying and putting the work in, and eventually, over time, you're going to start seeing results, but it just takes time. A lot of time. Do you plan on targeting billionaire status? No, I don't care for being a billionaire. Since becoming profitable, have you had a red month with personal funds? I haven't had a red month, but I've had a really light break-even month last year in October. That was definitely my toughest year. And that was when I used to trade Asia. I was trading Asia a lot. But a red month, no. Red weeks, absolutely. I've had a handful of red weeks this year. And most of my red weeks come like a lot of my red weeks are just, I'll take one trade on early in the week, like a Monday or Tuesday, and then it'll be a loss. But then the rest of the week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I just don't see anything I like. So I'll end the week red, but I've only taken like one trade. So the red weeks wouldn't be too crazy. It wouldn't do too much damage, But I think we're gonna wrap it up here. I'll say I'll stay till 11. Never mind. Now, something that I'm looking at, again, if NASDAQ works lower, I have mean threshold of the order block. That's midpoint of that down close candle. If we really dig through that, then I think that sets the stage for a deeper retracement on the daily. But if we don't do that, all of this up here in my eyes is really smooth. When it comes to like lunch, I love to run on stuff like that, or possibly the final hour macro. Anything that's too smooth that's left during the day, when we get to that final hour of trading, I like to see if there's enough range or if there's a possibility to target those levels clean it up before we get into market close. What do you think about this price action? It's just been, most of the excitement came within the opening range. Let me see, not that one. So here's 9:30 to 10 o'clock. Okay, we opened at 9:30. It was immediately lower into that down close candle on the daily. And then 10 o'clock, it was just kind of been, a little lethargic. And then S&P, kind of the same thing once we get to 10 o'clock. Not too much excitement. Dow has been bearish all day. Oil been doing wonders. Why are traders so spiritual? Not all of them are. But I think there is because trading requires a lot of clarity. It requires a lot of being at peace with yourself. It requires you to be comfortable in your own skin. And a lot of things that helps with that part of your life is spirituality, being in shape, fitness, wellness, all that stuff. So I think they kind of go hand in hand. Like, in order to be a trader, you need discipline, you need structure in your life. So I think that's when spirituality comes in, fitness, all that good stuff, because they coincide, they work well together. S&P has been a snooze fest. $11 is our cutoff, just to be able to say I stayed on until 11. But ever since we took out previous day's low, which was here, nothing in here has been too exciting. Did he go to university? I dropped out. I dropped out of school like 2 years ago. It wasn't for me. I may go back, I may not, but I'm doing pretty well without a college education. I played basketball in college my first 2 years, and then I moved back home my junior year and switched to online, and then I dropped out that year, so. I'm just reading the chat at this point. Price action doesn't really interest me at the moment. Follow WNBA. Nah, I'll be seeing the WNBA highlights and stuff, but I like the men's basketball more. It's just preference. See, appreciate you tuning in. Top 3 trading YouTubers. Doyle Exchange, ICT, and then Tremaine Trades. in no specific order. Doyle got me into trading. Yeah, I started with Doyle back when I used to trade Forex. I was trading with his supply and demand concepts. It was good. I just wanted. I don't think it fit my style, my personality per se. I think ICT and its precision and the whole idea of the markets being algorithmic, that was way more intriguing for me, so I went the ICT route. All right, well, it's 2 minutes till 11. Not the most exciting stream, but hopefully you learned a little something. We're gonna call it a day here and enjoy the weekend. I hope you all enjoy your weekend. For those who stayed this long, y'all are some real ones. This was not the most exciting, but we've been on here for almost 2 hours, so it was fun. All the streams next week will be in Discord, back pressing buttons, real money account, all that good stuff. We had a great week this week. See if we can do better next week. And I believe that is it. Do I do this every day? I don't live stream publicly on YouTube every day, only maybe like twice a month. But I do live stream daily and show my trade executions and all that stuff in Discord, so you can check that out if you want. But have a great weekend. Get some rest. Don't be on the charts all week, all weekend. Okay, you don't want to burn yourself out. Enjoy some time with your laptop closed. Spend some time with some loved ones. Go out, get some sun, get some exercise, and dedicate a little bit of time, 30 minutes to an hour, back testing, reviewing your trades, journaling, all that good stuff. And we'll come back in, locked in, refocus on Monday. So Discord, I'll see you on the live stream, 9:15. YouTube community, I'll see y'all when I see y'all. Love you. Peace.